Shalom and good day all, this is Healing29 back again for another DC review, and in this DC review I'll be covering Batman issue 136 and also Shazam issue 2. I'll now get things prepared for the first one that will be covered. So as we jump into issue 136 of Batman, first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? In some essence it is, to which I give a 7 out of 10. We'll now move to having a look at the internal story and what's happening there, along with what's happening with the characters. And then I'll move to the art rating. So as the story begins, we have Batman, Bruce Wayne, who has finally returned. And yes, he's catching up with Mr. Terrific. As we start to jump a little bit further throughout the day, we get to see what's happening throughout the time that is taking place throughout this story. And I do actually like this part, that this is actually being put in. As we move into some of Batman's patrolling of the night, we also find out what's happening else in other places. Of course, we have him catching up with Selina. As the story progresses, we finally move back into Wayne Manor and some of the things that are occurring here, until we finally find out what is happening with Bruce Wayne, that he's somewhat stuck in his own mind. So it makes me wonder, did he really actually go through the events at the beginning of the story? Or is this him sort of like stuck in his own dream? It's a little bit unsure, but I must admit, I didn't mind the backstory in this. It did lay out a little bit more detail as to some of the things that were occurring, and it did work with the story. So for the internal art, I gave a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to set things up to prepare for the story rating. Okay. First things first, did this story provide any comic references? Sure enough it did, to which it made reference to Catwoman issue 50, something that's now working on leading to a ugly event, which we really don't need. The next Gotham War type event, which will have, of course, we'll have Selina Kyle, Catwoman, trying to play out as a big boss in Gotham. I'm sorry, if I were to pick any character that would sort of like the best girl boss type character that they're trying to bring here, number one, I would choose Shiva. Next would be Talia, and when she's got control of Leviathan, she can be quite a nasty piece of work, especially in Gotham. Moving into the next area, and that is the area of time. Throughout the area of time, we actually got the indication of sort of like what was happening through the PM into the AM. So we start off at 6:20, we move to 7:35, then we move into 8:33 PM, then 12:47 PM, 1:50 AM, then 4:52 AM, 5:16 AM, of course 5:29 AM, and it finishes last but not least at 6:20 AM. I really enjoyed that being brought into the story because it lets us, the reader, know what things are happening at certain times and if there might be any clues in the story that we will need to pay attention on further on. Moving into the next area, that is the locations. We had the Batacombs, we had Brownstone, we had the Orgham Hotel, we had the Bowery, we had Easton, we had the Batcave, Wayne Manor, and last but not least, the mind of Bruce Wayne was actually made reference as one of those locations around the time. The key cast of characters were Batman, Mr. Terrific, we had Tim Drake, Red Robin, we had Zero, we had the sons of Cobblepot, Oracle, and last but not least, the members of the Bat family. For the overall rating in this, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into Shazam issue 2. So as we jump in, the first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside of the story? Sure enough it does, to which it actually shows the deities or the people who are connected to the power of Shazam. That is seen presently with what's happening with Billy. We also get to see himself as well, or Shazam himself, to which I give it an 8 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal arts, which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end. So as the story begins, we have Billy basically getting roasted for the actions of what happened in the last issue, and they're wondering what has happened, who has caused this, and it's like really nice. And I must admit, I absolutely love the art in this, and the character does feel their age, so great job with that. As we start to jump towards the middle of the story, we have an area that deals with Shazam taking on Psycho Pirate, who they believe might be responsible for what's happening, and we eventually learn that it's not. We finally move towards the end, but there are epilogues in relation to this story. So we quickly move into the first epilogue, which deals with Freddie Freeman returning to the Rock of Eternity to try to find out what is happening. And last but not least, the one that leads into Night Terrors. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story. First things first, did we get anything in relation to the area of time? No, we didn't. In regards to the locations, we had the museum, we had the Rock of Eternity, and we also had the family home. It would have been nice if there was more locations actually mentioned in the story or pointed out in the story. It would actually increase the rating, probably make it an 8.5, maybe even a 9. Cast of characters consisting of Billy Batson, Darla, May, Freddy, Eugene. We of course had the space dinosaur that came in. We don't know their actual name yet. We had Psycho Pirate. And we also had the members that also make up the name Shazam, and also what is happening there. For the overall story rating, I give this a 7.5 out of 10. I am looking forward to the next couple of issues. Until then, have yourself an awesome day, and let's keep it colourful.